India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi met the Emir of Qatar, His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani at Emiri Palace in Doha on Thursday. The two leaders held talks on a wide range of bilateral, regional and global issues. Here's more on PM Modi's Qatar visit.
After concluding successful UAE visit, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Qatar, where he held productive meetings with Emir of Qatar Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad and key dignitaries. Prime Minister also met Father Emir, His Holiness Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, and congratulated him on his visionary leadership that paved the way for Qatar's development over the past decades.
The two leaders thereafter held detailed discussions, first in a delegation level format and then in the restricted format. The topics of discussion included a wide range of areas of bilateral cooperation, including trade partnership, investment cooperation, energy partnership, issues engaged in regional security, cultural affinity and people-to-people ties. In this, when the two leaders spoke, they spoke about the need for strategic investments and strategic partnership in the field of energy and technology and to proceed beyond the bilateral relationship in this field.
The Prime Minister also thanked the Emir for taking care of over 8 lakh strong Indian community in Qatar and conveyed India's commitment to further expanding and deepening bilateral cooperation. He invited the Emir to pay an early visit to India.
Prime Minister thanked His Highness the Emir for his support for the welfare of the Indian community, and in this regard expressed his deep appreciation to His Highness the Emir for the release of 8 Indian nationals of Al Dahra Company. We are extremely gratified to see them back in India. Honorable Prime Minister invited His Highness the Emir to pay a visit to India.
Upon arrival late on Wednesday, PM Modi was accorded warm welcome by a large number of Indian diaspora in Doha. He later met his Qatari counterpart, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani. The two leaders exchanged views on expanding bilateral cooperation in sectors such as trade, investment, energy, finance, and technology.
All right, DD India correspondent Jessica Taneja joins us for more. Good morning, Jessica. How will you summarize PM Modi's trip to Qatar and UAE? Several bilaterals were held. He met the top leadership also. How important you think were the talks with the Qatari leaders?
Well, in fact, looking at the relationship that India is developing with the Middle East, and particularly talking about the United Arab Emirates along with Saudi Arabia and now Qatar. Remember, Abhishek, before 2015, it had been 3 decades since the Prime Minister of India went on a visit, a bilateral visit to the Gulf region, and since 2015 till now there have been 7 of those visits so far, 5 of them including UAE, second one at to Qatar, pardon me. So look at the increasing relationship between the two nations, especially in the backdrop of where the Emir of Qatar released the help in releasing the 8 Indian nationals of the Al Dahra Company, as the Foreign Secretary was pointing out. It was a huge victory for the Indian leadership to get their nationals back, especially when they were held for unspecified charges. So, of course, the relationship between the two has evolved to an extent that it can benefit citizens to this extent as well. So looking at how this will move forward, one only hopes that this continues to grow and the ties beyond just energy and trade, but also people-to-people ties continues to grow with the Gulf region, Abhishek.
Jessica, also tell us what benefits do you see growing from the visit in terms of geopolitics and India building up its relations across the world, being voice of the global south as well as reaching out to the West Asia?
Well, India has become an important strategic partner, not just for the West, but also for the Middle East and, of course, in its neighborhood as well, given that it is a soaring economy whose GDP has consistently maintained an average of 5.8% compared to the other developing nations. And India has put forth the idea of a multipolar world where it wants to take along all the nations so that poorer nations who've suffered because of conflict recently, because of the pandemic, and of course the climate change that has severely impacted those economies, India has championed the causes for those not just at home during its G20 presidency, but also at other multilateral forums with the kind of engagement it has had, and certainly impactful to a level that it has brought about change and investments. Here in India, we're seeing a lot of investment in clean energy as well, not just from the West, but also with the Middle East. If you look at the relationship, particularly with the UAE, it is our third largest trading partner with an annual trade recorded last year of more than $80 billion, right after United States and China. So that explains how important India has become in terms of its economic value and how a nation which sort of takes forward the idea of a rules-based order, but certainly doesn't want to be dictated to or be part of an alliance or a strategic alliance, so to say, which doesn't let it operate independently and with a certain autonomy to look after the interest of its own people.
Jessica, last question before we leave you. PM Modi also interacted with the Indian diaspora, and this has been playing an important role. We know soft power. How important you think this is for the people living abroad who have the Indian connections?
Well, it certainly goes beyond economic ties and energy ties, Abhishek. Look at the Prime Minister's visit with much aplomb. The consecration of the Baptist Temple explains the significance of his diplomatic stature, so to say, his diplomatic showmanship. You're looking at a Hindu religious temple in the Middle East, first of its kind. Of course, this has become significantly important, as it had been for the diaspora, but also for the Prime Minister to show and care for the causes that deeply affect and how people associate with them. So, of course, no part of diplomacy has been left behind. And in that sense, the kind of audience that received him during the World Government Summit in Dubai was also quite an ecstatic atmosphere. And let's not forget the kind of foreign remittances that the diaspora sends back home. It contributes significantly to India's forex reserves. And India, in fact, sends thousands of, its people to the UAE and other Gulf regions' labor markets. So it's a significant contributor of people as well. So developing those people-to-people ties becomes important, not just for diplomacy, but also for the Prime Minister, where people might be working in other countries, but still keep their heart back home.
Yeah. Right, Jessica. Thank you. We'll leave it at that. Thank you for your views on PM's